Hello, Disney. I feel the need to address you once again because I am very concerned about you. I really am. Last time I talked to you, it was about how I was very displeased with how you were treating your library. And that you, Disney, of all people, how you managed to botch up 2 of your own films as well. Those 2 films happen to be 2 of my all-time favorites. The Sword and the Stone and Bedknobs and Broomsticks. But I am not here to talk about that. Although in the 3 years since, not much has really improved on that end though. Instead, what I would like to know from you, Disney, is what made you feel the need to close the great movie ride at Disney MGM Studios? Why this particular ride? This ride is one of my all-time favorites at Disney World. The great movie ride is the staple of the park. You can see it right down Hollywood Boulevard. That's the main street of the park. You couldn't miss it. An almost exact replica of the famous Grauman's Chinese Theater, complete with handprints outside. Although, for 14 years, 2001 to 2015, you couldn't see the ride because you decided to build a giant sculpture of the Sorcerer's Hat from Fantasia. Not one of your best ideas, Disney. And now, after 28 years of operation, you went and closed it down on August 13th, 2017. This ride was the only thing left in the park, aside from the streets and the stores, about Hollywood and the movies. The Great Movie Ride was originally meant to be an area in Epcot called Show Business Pavilion, and the main attraction would have been a ride called Great Moments at the Movies. But thanks to then CEO Michael Eisner, he knew that a concept about the movies would work on its own as a park, and that's how we got Disney MGM Studios. For 28 years, this ride brought so much joy and happiness to whoever rode it. I'm glad I made sure that I was able to ride this ride every time I've visited Disney World since 1992. With this now closed, there are no opening day attractions still around and running from when the park opened back on May 1st, 1989. In its place, you are putting in a new dark ride called Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Rail. I have no problem with there being a Mickey Mouse ride. I do, however, have a problem with where you want to place it though. When you think of Mickey and the gang, you think of the Magic Kingdom, not Disney MGM Studios. Mickey's Toontown would have been the prime place for this ride, but you went and tore that down so you could make room for the Fantasyland expansion. Regardless of all that though, a Mickey ride is just better suited for the Magic Kingdom because that's where majority of kids visit the most to begin with. With you closing this ride, you have pissed off many, many classic movie fans, myself included. For a lot of classic movie fans out there, this ride is where it all began. This is where their passion for the golden age of Hollywood all originated from. For me, why this is one of my all-time favorite Disney rides is because of the Wizard of Oz area. I am a die-hard Oz fan. And The Wizard of Oz is where my love for classic movies comes from. As I grew up, most of the films that are featured in this ride have also become some of my all-time favorites as well. I'm not much of a fan when it comes to westerns and gangster films, though. They are enjoyable, and there are a few that I do like. It's just that genre I'm just not really a big fan of. And the Xenomorph from Alien used to scare the shit out of me every time I rode this back in the 90s as a kid. Though now I love horror, and the Xenomorph doesn't really scare me that much these days either. What gets me, and what I see as a major slap in the face here, Disney, is that in 2015, after a 17-year gap, Turner Classic Movies decides to sponsor this ride after Coke's sponsorship ended back in 1998. And then, just a mere 2 years later, what do? You close the ride. The Great Movie Ride was one of the last things that TCM host Robert Osborne did before he passed away earlier this year. To me, that is just beyond rude, as why would you partner up with someone when in just 2 years' time you close up shop like you did? That's just plain old rude. Walt Disney himself would be thoroughly ashamed of you all if he was still alive, because that is not how you run a business, and that is not how the Disney legacy should ever be either. Continuing with being rude, if you were going to close down the ride, why didn't you make any formal announcements? And why weren't there flyers around the park as well? This past July is when I heard that there were rumors that this ride might possibly be closing, but I never could find anything concrete that could back up this rumor though. On August 13th, 2017, I was very shocked to find out on Facebook that that was a wrap for this ride and that you really did close down the Great Movie Ride. For me, finding out through Facebook that you had in fact closed the ride is like how a TV show has found out they have been canceled by reading about it in the newspaper. You do not do that. I would like to know, before you decided to close down this ride, did you at least ask guests beforehand of what they thought of the Great Movie Ride and what they thought of the new replacement Mickey ride? Did you? Well, it doesn't sound like it. I don't know why you continue to do the things that you do, Disney. You seem to always go 2 steps forward and then 5 steps back. I do, however, have to applaud you for doing one thing that truly surprised me. And what that was, since the ride was closing, you decided to commemorate it by making some merchandise. In the past, there really hasn't been a lot of merchandise for the Great Movie Ride. A few items here and there, and that was basically it. So, I was pleasantly surprised when I saw that you had done this. The selection to choose from was the following. T-shirts, like the one that I've been wearing throughout this entire video. Caps, glasses and tumblers, the actual ride sign itself, that was a really big surprise, a plate, and even a Christmas ornament as well. I have to give you credit for doing this, Disney. You get a nice applause from me. This was a nice gesture that you did for us fans. However, why did you make everything available for 1 week only, and why was it so limited as well? You do know that not everyone can get to Disney World to begin with, right? Yet alone to be able to purchase said merchandise at the park as well. And your website was practically sold out by the time I ordered my t-shirt. And that was only 2 days after the ride closed. While the merchandise was very nice, I was a bit disappointed as well, because seeing as this was the end of an era, I was kind of expecting you to pull out all the stops here, Disney. It would have been nice if you had done the following as well. Figurines of the ride, snow globes, magnets, more pins, posters, postcards, bags and totes, and a nice book about the entire history of the ride as well. But I shouldn't complain too much though, because you did at least make some items, and that is better than nothing. If any of you would like to purchase any of these items, unfortunately, none of them are available, as it was very, very limited. And if you want to buy them now, you'll have to go on eBay to do so. Maybe in the future, Disney, when you do limited items again, you might make them available for a bit longer, like say a month or two, so people actually have enough time to purchase the items. Anyways, back to our main subject. Why this ride though? Why? Why do you like to keep ignoring your history, Disney? Looking to the future is great and all, but so is your past as well, because without it, you wouldn't be where you are now. The Great Movie Ride is the heart of Disney MGM Studios. It always will be. With this ride now gone, there are no icons left of the park, because the Eiffel Tower, which is the water tower, you had that taken down last year in 2016. So the only thing that's left is the Tower of Terror. And we'll get to that in a bit. Disney, it would be nice with this new Mickey ride that you keep the outside of the ride looking the same, and that you keep the signatures and handprints outside as well, if only for nostalgia purposes. I always love seeing the actors and actresses' handprints, as I would always try to figure out whose hand matched up to mine whenever I went on this ride. I think the closest that I ever got to matching up with anybody was Audrey Hepburn's. But if you do change the ride, then there will be nothing Hollywood left of the park. But that sounds like exactly what you plan on doing, because I found out that you have been asking guests what they thought about these new potential park names. Oh, you're just gonna love these names. Trust me. Kaleidoscope Park, XL Park, Beyond Park, Legends Park, Cinemagic Park, Storyverse Park, Hyper Area Park, and Cinemagine Park. Yeah. If I had to choose between those options, I'd probably go with Cinemagic Park, because at least that has to do with the movies, while the rest all just sound like they were random names that were drawn out of a hat. I mean, could you really call a Disney park XL? Could you really? I know I could never do that. There's just no way. So, Disney, you can see from my perspective as a fan why I am concerned about you once again. Hopefully, you're not planning on getting rid of any other rides anytime soon. Because I will tell you right now, if you were to close the Tower of Terror and turn it into that new Guardians of the Galaxy ride like you did at California Adventure, fans will riot. So, probably best to not keep pissing us fans off like you have been doing for some time now, as we are the ones who keep you in business after all. Well, Disney, it looks like you and I are still on that fine line from 3 years ago. First, you messed up 2 of your own films, and now you've gone and closed down a great ride. I don't know. I honestly do not know what to do with you, Disney. I would say that I do hope you see this video and that you are able to hear from us fans about how we are upset about this ride closure and how we are very concerned about how the state of Disney is being run these days as well. But I know you won't, because you truly do not care about the fans like you used to. And that is just sad. It really is. And with that, I'm gonna go.